Following the removal of subsidies for agricultural lime application, the Hatuma Lime Company faced a big reduction in lime use on farms. In response, then General Manager Joe Top began making dicalcic phosphate. The product is not as water-soluble as superphosphate, but remains in the soil and plant available. This was in the 1950s, and at the time, Joe was concerned that wholesale application of water-soluble acid fertilisers, while providing a quick boost to plant growth, was risking nutrient-saturated soils and polluted waterways. Joe's son Cliff is now running the company with his son Aaron.
The lime company was formed in the middle of the Great Depression, 1932, to supply lime. The government encouraged liming, and they gave free railage for 100 miles in any direction. We came into this business here in 1952. My father had pioneered bulk lime sowing and wet lime sowing in the Wairarapa at the Farmers Morrisville Lime Company. It was a thriving industry up until 1960, and then economics took over, and it was virtually economics that killed the lime industry. Simply because, 2 ounces of sodium molybdate per acre would do the same job, grow as much grass as 1 tonne of lime. While fertilisers grew the grass, lime was necessary to redistribute those minerals that were in the dung and urine back into humus and back into more growth. There's 1,001 uses for limestone. It's a natural resource, and all limes are good. The value in this deposit here at Hatuma is that it's a very porous limestone, and the tests done on our limestone, that even grains as big as a pea would be all dissolved and gone within 2 years.
The family aspect has certainly been a big fundamental part of where we get the values for our business. Certainly myself being 3rd generation, there's been good intergenerational knowledge handed down from my grandfather and my parents through to here as well. And it's very important that when we set up the nationwide network with the Hatuma dicalcic phosphate, that we partnered with like-minded family-owned lime quarries that could fit within that culture as well. Creating or supplying farmers with a product that is stable and efficient, maintains or improves their production and saves them money is a really cool ideal for New Zealand agriculture, and that's certainly the direction that we're spearheading with our research. What we have behind me here is the Hatuma dicalcic phosphate product. It starts as lime and superphosphate and water, and then all 3 ingredients are blended together and then let to sit for 4 weeks to go hard and revert. In that time, it goes like concrete, so we then have to bring out the heavy machinery, break it up, crush it, screen it, and it comes out in the state that you see here. When my grandfather first started looking at dicalcic phosphate as a product for the future, he had a series of ambitious boxes that he wanted to tick. He wanted a product that any farmer could afford at any time. He wanted a product that wasn't going to have the phosphate leached or washed away in the next downpour of rain. He wanted something that was going to sit there in the soil, use and the biological components of that soil use, and feed the plant as it needed.
The bottom line for every farmer, where he looks at, is whether he's making money or not. If you're not making money, there's something wrong. So to start with, you're getting good lambing percentages, and your lambs are killing at weights where you accept, and I'm taking my lambs through to heavy weights without any problem. We run a lot of dairy heifers, and the dairy farmer's happy with the results I'm getting. Heifers are less than 3% dry, and no problem with getting them up to the weight, the target weights. We fatten bulls down here. We have a hill block where the breeding cows are run, and we bring the offspring down here, and I can kill bulls at 300 plus at 18-month-old. I'm not a rocket scientist. I do what makes me money. Right, Bill, this is just permanent pasture now, just annual dressing.
Yeah, well, it's breaking up very friable, and you haven't got any litter up on the top surface. Very clean pasture, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not a big nitrogen user. Pouring on nitrogen is not the answer, definitely not. If you keep your soil balanced, If your clover's growing, you're fixing your own end, and then look at your stock, and they'll tell you whether it's, well, if it's working, it's working. If it's not, you'll find something wrong pretty quickly.
In 2009, we sat around with a bunch of experts, including the ex-Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, Hawke's Bay Regional Council, the Agribusiness Group, who are an independent research group, and a few others from within the industry, including farmers. And we discussed what's the future farmer going to require from their nutrients. After 7 years of the Farming for the Future research program that we've funded, we've found that the farmers that are using the dicalcic phosphate are feeding more stock per hectare. They have far less leakage of nutrients, so environmentally their footprint is smaller. They're spending $79 per hectare on average on fertiliser compared to the more conventional approach of $86 per hectare. It's shown that in terms of leaching, it takes 75 times more water to leach 90% of the phosphate and dicalcic compared to 90% of the phosphate and superphosphate. The Farming for the Future research program is coming to an end in terms of its first chapter. We're now looking at how do we evolve it and what's the new answers that we need to help New Zealand agriculture tell a good story to the global market.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.